Welcome to Mabuhay TV and You Multicultural Channel. I'm your host, Julia Lim. Elected at 23 years old, MLA Jelynn Dela Cruz is the youngest woman to be sworn into elected office in the history of Manitoba. She's the daughter of Filipino immigrant frontline workers in the care sector. Having worked in disability professional as a nonprofit professional and as a union leader, she was inspired to run when hostile government policies targeted her family among thousands. She was appointed by Premier Quinu to serve in government as the legislative assistant to health, seniors, and long-term care, and was recently elected as the chairperson of the Standing Committee of the Manitoba Advocate for Children and Youth. So please welcome one of our youngest leaders, Jelynn Dela Cruz. Welcome to Mabuhay TV, Jelynn.
Thank you, Ate Julia.
Yes.
It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. So tell our audience more about you.
Sure. Well, you know, I was 23 when I was first elected, but really community service has been a lifelong journey. I was raised by two Filipino frontline workers, and as a result, you know, selflessness and caring for others has just been built into my character and has defined who I am today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I know Dela Cruz is a very popular Filipino household name. So tell us more about the Dela Cruz family way back in the Philippines and here in Winnipeg.
Oh, absolutely. Dela Cruz is so common, and it is an honor really to be J. Dela Cruz. I know that one of our popular figures in the Philippines is Juan Dela Cruz, the Filipino everyman, and so I'm really just grateful to be carrying that name forward, to be such a recognizable Filipino name in the legislature, and also I feel a little bit of a personal debt to the community when it comes to our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal.
Yes.
Simply because, as well, my birthday fell on the day that he was martyred.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
So that was
and
prehistoric.
Indeed. You know, it was several years in between, though.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, there is a local organization that recognizes youth on December 30th for their leadership and their outstanding performance, and so I think it really is empowering to be in a position to support youth and uplift fellow kababayans who are up and coming and ready to take on larger roles in the community.
Of course. So tell me more about before you become one of the youngest MLA in the history of Manitoba. So what does it leads to become as in the politics?
Well, you know, I came from a family that didn't really talk about politics at the dinner table, and so it really did come out of left field, no pun intended, but my family is composed of, you know, a mom who works as a nurse and a dad that works as a caretaker for the Winnipeg School Division. And so when my mom, who worked at Concordia Hospital for around 17, 18 years, had her position deleted in 2017 by the then PC government, it was a wake-up call for me to just how important it is that we have people in office who really understand the weight of the decisions that they're making and just how big of a difference it can make for everyday families. And fast forward to just a few years later, that same government was threatening to get rid of positions like my dad's. And so as a result, you know, I had a certain skill set at my disposal. I had been advocating and organizing in the community for years at that point. And so while I know my parents were very busy working hard for our family, it was important for me that I used the skills that I had to bring a voice to the legislature for families like mine.
Okay, so I'm glad that you answered that call. And also as a Filipino, we all know that most parents they say that Filipinos, they're like, oh, they're more nurses, right? Everybody, okay, they want to be nurse. So how does your parents actually supported you that this is what you want?
Yeah, I think they've been able to tell from a very young age. You know, from even the age of 3 years old, I've always been someone that, you know, has built a record for myself when it comes to bringing people in and ensuring that we move forward together. I would be remiss if I said that, you know, my parents I have my mom in particular,
Of course, yeah.
didn't want me to go into healthcare
Yeah.
or have, you know, an occupation that she was more familiar with. In my preteen to teenage years, I definitely entertained the idea of going into nursing or becoming a doctor. And then I realized, you know, that wasn't necessarily the field for me. I couldn't imagine myself really doing that kind of thing. And it's incredibly respectful work. And I just have so much respect for the people that are able to devote their careers to helping people at their lowest. Though for me, it just never felt right.
Okay.
And my partner is a nurse, and so I think that's one thing that's appeased my mom.
You're still part, you know, still part of the family.
Still part of the family.
Yeah.
Though I think this is the career that I find myself in right now, is one that I'm able to feel like my whole self in, and I feel as though if I were to go down the healthcare route, I'd feel like it was maybe something that I was doing for my family and to not necessarily you know, add more to the equation. I wanted to be a little bit different and explore something that I haven't seen. People that looked like me or people that brought stories like those in my family
Definitely.
To the decision-making table.
Well, I love that. I know for 23 years old, I would say you still, you know, you're young, but same thing, I know in your age, some people think about like they're pursuing a career or pursuing another thing, but you know that it's the politics. This is really different, you know, as a Filipino. And so I'm really happy, and as a woman, I'm proud of you. Thank you for empowering women like me and for younger. So what is the biggest challenge in your role in the politics?
I believe the biggest challenge is really defining who you are as a leader. There's this, I've been told time and time again too, entering this political arena, that if you don't go into it knowing who you are, then somebody out there will try and tell you who you are. And so I think, especially at the age of 23, now 24 years old, a lot of the folks in our generation are still figuring out who exactly we are. And I think for me, I found peace in just accepting that what I am in this moment doesn't have to be forced into a box. Okay. There's so many different avenues that we can explore as youth, and that's one thing that's to our advantage.
And you're still started. You're just starting, I mean, right?
Yeah.
We're 23. I know there's more to go. So for a young generation out there that would like to follow your footsteps, what is your biggest advice to them?
I would say to stay true to your values. I think one thing that I actually have a small tattoo on here on my left arm, it says Bayanihan.
And Bayanihan means in our language is a Filipino, which means?
Yeah, so Bayanihan is really the spirit of working together for the common good. And I think Filipinos know the spirit of Bayanihan so strongly, and it's deep in our blood to hustle in order to bring everyone along and you know, progress as a community together. And so I think it would just be stay true to your values, remember the village that raised you, and make sure that you bring as many people along for the ride as you can.
Yes, thank you. Whoa, I love that. Bayanihan. As we all know, Winnipeg is one of the largest Filipino community, right, in Canada. Yeah, we have one of the supporting community as well. Also, what inspire you, or who is your inspiration aside from your parents?
Yeah.
So any inspirations that leads you to be in the politics or being,
Yeah, for me, you know, it's a little bit of a cop-out because I know I can't say my parents, but truly just all of the frontline workers that are putting in the thankless work to improve our systems like healthcare, like education. It really is so inspiring to me how folks have dedicated their lives to helping others, to raising the next generation. I think when it comes to the career itself, so the current role that's ahead of me, I look to people like Jacinda Ardern, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, for example.
Oh, wow. Okay.
She is yeah, she leads with, you know, a non-judgmental heart and is very pragmatic and very humble. And I think all we can be as leaders, if we're you know, at the end of the day, the best thing that we can do is to be transparent and to ensure that we are, you know, truth tellers and standing in the light when it comes to what's happening in our community and what communities need and what kind of action we need to take.
I love that. And also, I love that you changed the perspective mentality that the younger generations, they said that the younger generation today is all about like TikTok or social media, you know, but here you go. You are an outstanding lady, a young lady who's making a change in the community, and not just in the Filipino, I would say for younger generations.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, so if I could ask you, if you could sit in the table with a famous person or a meal, who would it be?
You know, it might be because we were talking about her just before the camera started rolling,
Yeah.
but honestly, I think it would be so enlightening to sit in a room or even just meet someone like Oprah Winfrey,
Yeah.
someone who is a storyteller and you know, has built a career on empowering others and telling stories that aren't necessarily her own,
Yes.
and yeah, providing a platform for others to stand on.
Definitely. Well, we have the same.
Did I
Definitely,
steal
it's also
yours?
good, yes. And speaking of that, so do you have a favorite book that you like, that you read recently?
Oh, I guess there's a couple of angles. So I think you know, I'm a big proponent that, you know, you have to show up entirely as you are in every space that you're in. And, you know, as a 23 to 24, I'm now 24 years old, I grew up reading The Hunger Games. And so the most recent edition, The Ballad of Snakes and Songbirds, or Songbirds and Snakes, yeah, that was probably the first book that I read this year, but the one that I'm close to finishing now, I found incredibly inspiring, which is the Women in Leadership book that was co-authored by the former Prime Minister of Australia and the former Minister of Finance for Nigeria, just talking about women on the national stage and how far we have to go to reach gender parity.
Wow, that's a very good book. Woman,
Yeah.
again, the title of the book is
Women in Leadership.
Yeah. And the author is?
Julia Gillard, and I'm going to butcher her last name.
Well,
Yeah.
you can Google that.
Yeah.
And also, the question is like, is Jelynn, so how does it feel when you first elected? What is the first thing that you did?
When I was first elected, I think I jumped up with joy. I was with I think there's a video out there that was recorded by, I want to say, my cousin Daniel, my kuya Daniel, and my tita Helen, and my mom and my dad, and my little brother, and my partner, and his partner. We were all together when we were watching the results on the TV. And I couldn't believe seeing the little check mark and the word elected next to my name. It took me a few seconds for it to actually register that that's what everyone was pointing and screaming about. But once it registered, I started jumping. I went straight to my parents, and yeah, and I think for the next little while it was really, I think, staying tuned to see how I could best support our team in the direction that we go in. But ultimately, I think the very first thing that I really did was go back to the community to thank them. Yeah, just, you know, penning the thank you notes and all the phone calls and all the quality time that I had to catch up on with my loved ones too. Yeah.
So do you think that this position really is the biggest success that happened in your life so far?
It has been the honor of my life being elected, and I think it'll be an even greater honor if I'm able to be one of the best MLAs that Radisson's ever seen. We have a lot of building to do as New Democrats in the Radisson constituency, and so I'm just truly excited to do my part in ensuring that people feel represented and represented well.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So how do you define success? I know success defines in each person. I mean, everyone has their own, you know, definition of success. So what is success for you?
That's a really good question.
Sorry, is it a surprise question?
A little bit, but I think it's an important one. I think success for me would be ensuring that I am doing justice by my loved ones and the ones who raised me. I think it's such a Filipino thing, honestly, to want
Give back.
and want to bring honor to those that raised you, and to give back to the communities that you came from and that supported you on your journey. But really, I think, that's exactly what it would be making sure that the village that raised you is the one that you go back to.
I think also that you're making a difference. I think that's also a success.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Definitely. So what are your biggest takeaway from coming here, or you're born in here?
Yes,
In Winnipeg.
yeah.
Okay. Since you started and then you become an MLA. So what are your biggest takeaway? If you could choose three. Sorry. The
Three
power
takeaways.
of three.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Another book that I should have mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
I think it's a handful of things. I think as women and as members of equity-seeking communities, as we're coming up, I think there's such this attitude of scarcity. And I think that a lot of it has come out of real scarcity and the fact that we've had to compete for positions of power and positions of leadership and so many different opportunities. Though I think we're at a stage now where we need to transition that mentality of scarcity into just empowerment and community empowerment, and reaching back down to lend a hand to those that come after you. So I think that would be the first one for sure. As a young woman already, I'm thinking about how I can get even younger women involved, how I can get even...
Love it, yeah.
Yeah.
It all starts with the young, right? And
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And
wow.
then,
okay.
A second and third.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh, okay. Whatever you think, it doesn't have to be in the book. So
I think
scarcity,
scarcity.
I agree with that. Yes.
Yeah, I think a second one would definitely be just practicing patience.
Okay.
Patience.
Definitely. Long patient.
Yeah, patience with others, but more importantly with yourself. I don't know. A third one is just to enjoy the moment that you're in while you're in it.
Seize the day.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly right. Enjoy each moment. So thank you so much. And if there's anything that you can, what is your plan, like going forward with being MLA in Radisson? What is they said a 3-year plan, 5-year plan. I don't want to look forward, but what is your plan so far in the community?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, in Radisson, for folks that live in the Radisson constituency, the first of its kind, to my knowledge, is the Radisson Community Task Force that we're starting up. Actually, February 5th is our first meeting, and it's really an opportunity for the community to hold me accountable when it comes to local issues, for me to report directly to a body that meets regularly, but also to play a role in leading community organizing and filling gaps as needed. For example, community cleanups, running drives for organizations that are in need within our constituency. And so that's a huge opportunity that folks can seize if they live in Radisson, to be directly involved with their MLA's office. Personally, I wish it was something that was around when I was just a constituent. And I feel like it would have been a great opportunity to feel empowered as a community and to meet like-minded folks. And I'm just really grateful that I can offer that opportunity now. I think when it comes to the work that we're doing in the legislature, in March we're resuming session, and our NDP government is not one that takes any of this for granted, and we're working every single day to deliver on the mandate that we were elected with. And as such, we're a listening government, and one big thing that is continuing onward and indefinitely is the healthcare listening tour. That we will be going from different hospitals and different clinics. Like we've already stopped in, for example, at the Grace Hospital, St. Boniface Hospital, up and coming Health Science Center, and just really listening to the front lines and making sure that not that they just feel heard, but that they are heard, and that their concerns are taken seriously by those in power. So that is certainly something to look out for, but the line is always open to any of our elected officials in the NDP government, and I'm just so grateful to be on a team with folks that care as much as they do.
That's awesome. So if they would like to reach out to you, how they could reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm on social media. So it's Jelynn Dela Cruz, either on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. But you can also send me a direct email at jelynn@mbleg.ca. So Jelynn at mbleg.ca.
Awesome. Wow. Okay. So if I don't know Jelynn and I don't, read your bio, if you could describe yourself in three sentences or three words, who is Jelynn though?
Oh my goodness! Wow. I'd say, a woman who just wants to make a difference. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Strong word. That's awesome. Okay. And for Jelynn, of course we know you're into politics. So is there anything else that you do aside from, doing business, or is there anything else that you do outside from in politics?
I really enjoy the outdoors, and so I'm definitely trying my best to get as much fresh air in and soak up the sunshine. We're really blessed in Manitoba to have as much sunlight as we do, and I know that sometimes the sun doesn't always shine, and sometimes it can get, snowy or cloudy or rainy. But compared to other places, we do have a lot to be really thankful for here.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I know it's called winter peg, right?
Yeah.
But of course, right now, I think it looks like spring right now.
It does.
Our weather is. But I guess, definitely Winnipeg, we are friendly Manitoba, as they said. We have a really, it's a small city, but very warm and friendly. And there's a lot of places. I mean, we have a lot, speaking of Filipino community, we have a lot of local business, right? Like restaurants that owned by Filipinos, right?
Absolutely.
Who doesn't love pancit and egg roll?
I haven't met anyone yet.
Okay. Speaking of pancit or egg roll, do you like to cook, or are you like familiar, or you like Filipino food?
I do. I love Filipino food, and I feel like if you love the food, you have to learn to love to make it.
Oh,
So
yes, definitely.
I'm continually learning from my mom, and trying to pick up new recipes as it comes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for accommodating us. It was a pleasure to have you as our guest today.
It really is an honor.
Thank you so much. So this is Julia of Mabuhay TV and You Multicultural Channel. Thank you for our guest, Jelynn Dela Cruz.